Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Darts, brought to you by Atomic Darts, Shot Darts, Condor, Darts Flight Shaft System by Trinidad, and of course, Magicwear. But hey, good morning, everybody. We're going to do something slightly different this morning. I have an incredible interview with Peter and Anthony from Championship Dart Circuit. I actually pre-recorded this interview. This is the first time that I've actually done that. I've loved to always do my interviews live, but both gentlemen could not make it this morning, and this is actually a way of doing interviews that I've looked at doing as it'll open the doors for me to interview other darts players that can't always make the time frames. And if you've been watching the show, you've seen that we've jumped around from time to time on our time slots, and that's always been the reason. But we're kind of went down this avenue, and I think it's a good avenue. I'm going to play it in its entirety as if it's a live event, and I'll be in the comments, making some comments here and there, and we'll see how this goes. But I think it's a good way to do things. I know a lot of other shows do it this way. I just always liked the live, asking of a question and someone answering it. Seeing people maybe struggle a little with trying to be the PC answer. And you get that here, and I'm just going to play it in its entirety. There was nothing crass or rude that was said during the interview. So with that said, welcome to Coffee and Darts. This is episode 79. If you haven't been here before, I talk about darts. I interview darts folks, whether it's players or manufacturers, or in this particular case today, we're talking to people that run Championship Dart Circuit. We also interview those that watch the show and other YouTubers, as well as occasionally I'll get someone that teaches YouTube or does that for a living to get on the show so we can get some questions answered as to how to do better videos and things of that nature. So that's what Coffee and Darts is about. And I get asked all the time, coffee and darts, man, aren't you supposed to drink alcohol in darts? Well, yes, but my wife got pissed when I was drinking alcohol at 7 a.m., so I figured coffee works. And I personally like my coffee, and I will drink it in the evenings as well. Sometimes I might add a little something to it, but I do love my coffee and darts, and so that's why this is Coffee and Darts. So again, welcome to the show. If you're new, of course, welcome. If you're not new, or if you just feel like being a part of the show, make sure in the comments that you throw in a ton 80. Let me know that you're ready to go today. And that's kind of it. Let's get into the show. Just so you guys know, if you didn't know, it is available on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook. We did a show last week that did not show up on YouTube. That's a technical issue that came up. Outside of that, our shows are Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., and occasionally we sprinkle in additional shows throughout. I really wanted to spend some time this week talking about Super Series and what we saw in what we've got coming up with UK Open, because there's a lot of already great matches that are available. So if you're not already currently subscribed to PDC.TV here in America, make sure you do that, because there are some really great matchups that are going to be happening on like Thursday and Friday. And then this weekend, of course, will be great with the UK Open, so that you don't miss any of that. And of course, you can go to Dart Connect as well and catch the number version of it. You just don't get all the wonderful audio and visual part of it. So those are some great ways to see that upcoming event that's happening on PDC.TV. And of course, Super Series, awesome. Just, the ferret, dude, he acted like a ferret. I'm telling you, he was there at the end most days, trying to steal whatever and take it off to his lair and hide it. And he did eventually, the last day, get a hold of that trophy. We saw some other really cool things. RVB, is he back? Is it just the PDC making it work? No. He played really well, considering he's been out of darts for a while. And then, of course, he got a win in day 3, which, it was important, I think, for his comeback stature. And I think that he's going to play, it's going to play well for this year as long as he can maintain this. Again, this was the first weekend of real darts. We'll see how things play out as the year goes along. Matthew Edgar, who's a YouTuber, he fared pretty well. He played some good darts, had a 170 checkout there, which I know he loves to talk about his 170 checkouts. So I'm sure he's chatted quite a bit about that over the week. In regards to Danny Baggish, Danny didn't play bad. He played well. I think he's feeling it out. I think he'll do much better. I think the UK Open, he's got. I'm trying to remember who he's playing. I already saw he's got potentially a first round. Or is it the second round, first round? I don't remember exactly. I looked at the numbers yesterday, or the layout of who's playing who yesterday, and it looked like a potential win for him when I check stats on the other player. It's a player I've never heard of. So should be interesting for the North American, who is currently the first North American to own a PDC Tour Card going through Q School, and that we talk about this morning with Peter and Anthony. So without further ado, let me bring those guys on, and I just got to pull this up here real quick. I had it ready, and then it disappeared. You love when that happens. How's everybody's morning? Please let me know in the comments. Where is my desktop? There we go. Why is it? This is awkward. Oh, oh, junks. I have the video on my other computer. Hold on one second. As you can see, I'm ripping apart the garage because my darts cabinet shows up and we're rearranging everything. Well, shucksy darn. Hey, look, it's me again. Technical difficulties. Thank you for being on Coffee and Darts. Really appreciate it. We haven't hit 100 episodes yet, but we're getting close, and you guys have actually been on twice now. So congratulations for that. Either I can't get enough people on the show, or I just like you guys enough to bring you on, or maybe I have something, where you guys have sucked me into the championship dart circuit, which I'm proud to be a part of. But as again, my guests are Peter and Anthony, and if you guys wouldn't mind giving a brief overview, because you've been on the show before and gave more of an in-depth. So if you haven't seen that, please go check out that interview. Great stuff in regards to just the birth of the championship dart circuit. But if you guys could just jump in and give me a brief little thing on how you guys got involved, and maybe a little bit about who you are. Peter, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. And Matt, I'll say this. I would have thought that we would have merited the 100th anniversary, the 100th episode. So now I'm going to be a little upset, I'll tell you.
Well, I've got a couple more to go, so maybe I'll bring you guys back on for the 100th episode.
A little cameo.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been in the game. My dart career is old enough to drink. I started in 1999, 2000, somewhere around there. Like everybody else, started playing in league, kind of realized I loved the game, got better at it, ended up going over to the administrative side because I couldn't get that good at it. Got involved with the PDC through Windy City Darters because Windy City Open used to be a PDC tournament. And so I've been involved with the PDC since 2001, 2002. Through the work of Jay Tomlinson, I came up kind of through the ranks. Been an official at every PDC event since 2005. Met Anthony through that. We then both served on the New World Dart Series, which was a pretty big thing back in the day. Can't believe that was 7-8 years ago. And then because Anthony and David and I met, we were lucky enough to like each other, and we got to this spot. And 2014 was the year that we actually decided to form the company. Our first year was 2015. So that's a little short from me.
All right.
Just what he said, but New York. No, but honestly, I've been in the game for a long time as well. I'll hit my camera. Yeah, played, for a long time as a youth, and then just like Pete, got into the administrative side, running leagues and being more organized about it. Wanted to contribute to the game, and like Pete said, ran into him and David Irete mid 2012, something like that, and things happened, and we decided to launch the CDC, and here we are.
Nice. And I do want to ask the question about David because, his name gets thrown out a lot, but he seems to be afraid of the camera. At least every time I talk to him, I'm like, hey, you want to be on? He's like, no, I don't want to do that. So one of you guys just give a brief on who David is? Because that name gets thrown out a little.
I think being behind the camera makes you a little bit more reluctant to get in front of the camera. But I'll let Anthony give.
That's his life. He's the framing guy. He has the eye. That's what his profession is, and he's just always been more comfortable behind the camera. He works his tail off, but very, very reluctant to get in front of the camera. That's why I got him behind the mic to do a match for the championship league, and it was actually a lot of fun. And I want people to get to know David. So keep pushing them to come and sit with you, because it would be a real compelling hour. He's got a really great story and a really great history in this game. And
the best elevator pitch for darts I've ever heard.
He's great. I love getting to talk to him. He's actually we're talking this week. He loves to just talk darts. So.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, I struggle. He's one of those people that will, if we're out and it's after an event, I can't speak for Pete, but I know, after maybe 12 hours, I've had enough darts. David's the type that he'll go up in a hotel bar if they had a board and talk to people that were, maybe just throwing them into the bullseye or not knowing the game. He'll go over and want to turn them into a passionate darter.
Even if they don't have a board. People talk to anybody at any time about the game. And he's truly is an evangelist for it. And God bless him for that. I mean, we try, but he's got it.
Yeah. So David, if you guys didn't know, there's this kind of this tandem of gentlemen have really helped push darts here in North America as things seem to be faltering. Darts has gained some notoriety. It was a cool sport that turned into this bar thing that now has become something of I don't know, I want to say legendary to a degree. It's becoming the next soccer of all sports, and I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited that you guys are really driving this forward. And I have had the opportunity to meet with you guys this way. We haven't physically met thanks to the COVID situation, but the opportunity to work with you guys at the same time. And David's been a big piece of that. Like, he reached out to me and was like, hey, he knows the technical side. And I love having conversations with him about this. Speaking of which, the growth of darts in North America, here in the U.S. and the Northcadians, as I like to say, there's this guy that this past month got this thing called a tour card on the PDC, which I know people watching this understand that because we're darts fans. But there's a huge significance to Danny Baggish getting a tour card. To the best of my knowledge, he's the first American to hold a PDC tour card. Can you guys talk a little bit about that? Because I understand there's been other people that it's been offered to, they didn't take it. And that was in the transition phase to getting tour cards. But right now, Danny Baggish is the first American to hold a tour card.
Yeah, he is. I'll let Anthony talk a little bit about it. He's done quite a bit of research, but from the American side, Stacey Bromberg actually won a tour card, a PDC tour card when she won the Ladies Championship, the only winner of a PDC Ladies Championship, World Championship. She didn't accept it, knowing she couldn't travel and kind of go play on the tour and commit to it full time. She never accepted it, but she did win one. And then Anthony, mentioned to me today, Darren Young at some point was offered a card, we believe. So I'll let him elaborate a little bit. But certainly, Danny is the first U.S. player who's won one through the Q School system.
Exactly right, Pete. And Matt, I'll go off a little bit on. I just want to touch on something you said. You used the word sport, and that's the idea of what the passion we have is. We look at it as a sport. There's always a debate: is it a game or is it a sport? And I consider it both. It's a game in the early development when you first learn to play it. You know, you're out with friends and you're on a Friday night, you find at the pub, or you know somebody's got a board in the garage and you play, and then it transitions to a sport. When you get on stage and there's bright lights and you're compelled to play against another player of equal stature for 90 minutes, that's when it becomes a sport. And that's what, to me, is the difference between a player who can put a dart into a triple 20 and a player who can put multiple darts in the triple 20 consistently for 45 minutes. And that's what makes an amateur player into a professional. And that we leapfrog. Go ahead, Pete. You want to?
No, I was just going to say, you know, beyond that, which I think certainly is a compelling case for being a sport, you now at the highest level, you have managers, right? You have people that engage sports psychologists and performance coaches. I mean, folks, this isn't 1974 anymore. This is truly a game that has risen to the level of sport by any measurable, I think, objective level.
And we want to be part of that. And I do think that when we watch success in Europe, it helps us. It transitions. We can point at those great crowds and the fun atmosphere, and say this is what we can have, and we should all work towards that. So now we transition, like you just said, having one of our own, a new member of North America with a tour card, and the first American. You have to make it known that, you know, the Canadians have gone over in that same time frame that we talked about, and you know, we were throwing around some names. We couldn't remember if it was 5, 7, somewhere in that range. They've gone and earned tour cards in the same time frame that the United States players haven't. So big achievement for Danny Baggish, and we definitely hope that that's going to be an inspiration. And how can it not be? You know, he's all over media last week. He gets a write-up in the New York Times. So the more media, the better. I was very impressed with the exposure and the focus the North American players got in the Q schools. You know, if you looked at a lot of the different, darting, websites and things that were tracking it, it was always, there was a blurb about how Leonard Gates did, or how Danny Lauby was doing, or we're going into day 3, can Baggish do that? So very impressed that very present on the dart scene was the North American contingent.
Yeah, and there's positives and negatives to that, right? If you come in as a relative unknown and you play the game you can play and win your tour card, there's nothing on your shoulders. But at some point, there were a lot of people predicting that we would come out of that with 4 new tour card holders, and that's gotta be in your guys' minds when they're playing. I know Matt Campbell certainly was thinking about it. So it's great because we're no longer, also rans, which is what we've been striving for since day one. But it also then, adds a new dynamic that we haven't seen certainly from the U.S., but probably more broadly from North America in the darts world in a long time.
But I would.
Go ahead, Anthony. Go
one
ahead.
More thing. Well, no, just from that, I know Pete and I would be of the same mindset that the respect brings along responsibility, meaning that pressure is a good thing. It's tough to say as a player to handle it, but as a community, we want that. It means
of course
that the expectations is the word I should have used. That the higher the expectations rise, inherently there's respect tied to that. When your players are doing well, so we're going to expect more out of you.
So one of the things I noticed when it came to Baggish, more so than maybe some of the other guys, was like this was preempted. I mean, it's like the PDC had this kind of planned. You looked at some of their social media pieces, with Danny ending up with Target, and just kind of the push that came. It was like they expected him to be the first guy from America. If you look at like all the little social media posts, his picture was in them, even when it came to the Q school type of stuff. It was, I don't know if that put added pressure for him, if he saw any of that. And then the way he won his tour card, that was very American. It was like, okay, it's the last day, it's the last moment, my last opportunity, and I'm going to win it. And that was kind of an exciting situation. It was like, okay, he got the last tour card. It's almost like it was played out as if this was to be. But the question is, does this really widen the door for Americans? And I don't want to just say North Americans, because there are. The North Canadians have gotten their tour cards. They've got some incredibly great players that have showed up in the PDC. We now, as an American, and I will take the pride in that, we have a player there. Does this open the floodgates for Americans to start, will we have 20 guys? Will we be pissing off the Europeans because we're taking world championships? And, are they going to be drug testing all our guys because they're wearing yellow jerseys? I mean, is that what we're going to see?
We hope so.
I mean, that's the goal, right? Since day one, the goal has been to have a North American world champion, not just U.S., but, from a U.S. perspective, absolutely. You know that Leonard Gates has the talent. Danny Lobby has the talent. Gary Mawson performed well early in the series. So those are just some guys that could go out and secure it. Here's the thing, though. Let's assume that all of them go next year and win their cards. We now need the second tier, and I don't say that in a negative sense, but the players that are just slightly behind those players to now step up and become those players, right? Otherwise, you run the risk that you'll have a couple of years of a couple lean years before the next crop gets there. And so, I know we haven't talked about the pandemic, but that's one of my concerns, is that the pandemic, because we haven't had people playing in person, it kind of sets things back a little bit for us. So we'll see. I hope that we really can get this tour this year out and play a full tour and get them back to top form.
Yeah. I look at this as like the 4-minute mile. We finally broke the 4-minute mile. So now, if anybody knows the history of the 4-minute mile, once that, the Chariots of Fire happened and the 4-minute mile got broken, like 11 people did it the next year. Like, people were like, it'll never be done. It'll never be done. It gets done once, 11 people. And now if you're not running the 4-minute mile, don't even think about trying to be a miler or someone that's running in that perspective, sure, distance or whatever. Just don't,
I was happy. I broke the 14-minute mile the other day,
Hey,
so,
I'm an 8 to a 10-minute miler, just depending on whether I feel like running that day or how much I've eaten, how much coffee and donuts.
I was a cross-country runner in high school, so I get
okay.
it.
Well, you don't count, buddy. All right. So, now you brought up in regards to the tour as being the championship's darts circuit. And I know I talk about Danny Baggish and the pride I have in that, but this championship darts circuit is North American darts. This is, essentially Canada and America. It's taking into consideration the continent there of North America. And you mentioned getting back to actual physical play. I know there was a letter that was put out by the Championships Dart Circuit recently in regards to that play, but can you guys talk a little bit about what play is going to look like this year? When do you think we're going to get back to physical? Are we going to have some virtual stuff prior to that? How's this going to play out?
I'll speak to it a little bit and then let Anthony kind of run with it. But we're going to start and we're going to have a tour this year. Period. End of story. July is the flag we've planted in the ground. It's a little frustrating that we can't start in April like we planned. But Matthew, to your point, one of the things that we've tried to do for the past 3 years, we need to get Canadians involved. This is a North American tour, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on, is that we need the Canadians involved. This is not just a U.S. tour. And so, last year, we split it into a U.S. series and a Canada series, but our plan has always been to have a unified tour. And so with the border being closed and travel restrictions, even inside of Canada, it just wasn't in the cards to start, because the Canadians wouldn't have been able to make it down for the U.S. series, the U.S. event, in Florida, and vice versa. The U.S. players wouldn't have been able to make it up to the Canada event. So pushing back was, as disappointing as it is, it was the right decision. I'm truly hopeful that the border will be open by July. If it's not, I think we have some serious questions to ask of our leadership. But that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, if the situation is that we can't, have a unified tour, then at that point we've got to split it up and do a U.S. and a Canada tour. But we will have live events. We have to. We owe it to our players. And I'll let Anthony chime in on some of the other plans we have.
Well, I certainly echo that. We're going to be playing this summer. In what form or fashion, that's to be seen. But yeah, we're committed, and that's why we felt as a company it was better to push back a bit with the hopes that we could still continue to have that unified tour that Pete talked about. We've talked about a lot of facets to that are big pluses to the game here in North America, and we're committed to that. We want to see that happen, and it's been a real blow. You know, I was just going to spit out that it's been a big blow to what we've had planned. You know, that's in darts that's gone on the last year and a half. And as I say it, it sounds a little silly to, you know, compare it to what's gone on in people's lives. So, you know, secondarily, our dart plans have gotten a little off rail, but we certainly hope that we can put the pieces together and, you know, really have the next couple of years play out the way we have them laid out, and you know, we'll see some big things. In the meanwhile, yes, we do have some ideas, and we are committed to getting the CDC players in front of everybody's eyeballs, bringing back a few things that we ran in 2020, in the fall of 2020, those sorts of things. So expect to see us come back with a weekly series and a couple of weekend, you know, cyber events and that sort of thing. So we're going to be playing a little bit, but obviously always keeping our eye on that July date. Like Pete said, flag in the ground. We're going to play some darts.
Yep. And if you're a new tour card holder, you know, we'll have some of these virtual things for you to be able, I say virtual, you know, at home things for you to be able to do to get your skills sharp, especially if you're, you know, some of those new tour card holders that came through our Q School series. You know, you got a little chance, a little ramp up here to beat up against each other and get your skills up to get ready to play in person.
Yeah, bringing up Q School. So first off, exciting to hear that there is going to be physical, some way, form, or shape, you know, whether or not we're down on the beach, you know, playing however it has to happen. That should be just encouraging for the darts community. And I know there are a lot of local places that are getting back to face-to-face play. We see that on social media consistently, where the local pub type places to play, the local leagues are allowing face-to-face play again. So that's exciting. You know, it looks like we're driving towards that. Hopefully by July, we're certainly there. But tour cards. So, you know, we just had the 4th Q School for Championship Dart Circuit. As you guys notice, I can't say CDC. I'm sorry. I have to say Championship Dart Circuit. And I know I bring that up every time I talk about Championship Dart Circuit, but that's my thing. Sorry, guys. In regards
to
make
it Champ Darts then, if you
Champ
want to
Darts.
find the middle ground.
We just call it Champ Darts. We'll call it Champ Darts. So with Q School, and I know like Alex Reyes got a tour card. You know, that's a name in the darts community. How did you guys feel Q School went? You know, is there anybody that kind of came through Q School that you're like, wow, this guy could be something special?
I mean, anybody who won their card, I know it was different this year because they were playing at home, and that's not the same as playing in person with somebody breathing down your neck. So, you know, there's no way to replicate the in-person pressure and stress. But I mean, the people who came through, you know, Alex Spellman used to play on the tour. He's elevated his game. I think, you know, he'll definitely showcase some things. Kevin Luke from the first qualifier, Juice Ryan, you know, those guys. There's some decent names. They really are.
Jeff Springer, who was a previous tour card holder.
Yep.
I'd say, you know, arguably one of the biggest names just in coming out of 2020, Jacob Taylor. Jacob Taylor, the truth. He's got a CDC tour card now. So, you know, that's a prospect that's exciting to see what he can do on site. We've seen what he can do online. We'll see what he can do on site.
We got a good mix of you know, established names, names people would know. You know, Joe Efter, who was a fairly big name back, and you know, especially the 2006 World Series in the Mohegan Sun. Yeah. I mean, you know, so we got a good mix of names that people might know and some new names that people might not. So that's certainly a good thing. And you know, I think importantly, kind of going back to the last point we talked about, we got a lot of good, solid Canadian presence, and that's important for us. I mean, we need more Canadians to believe in the system and come out and the onus is on us, as I've said multiple times, to show that we're committed to them. And you know, again, I'll die on that hill. And you know, certainly the fact that we saw so many Canadians enter and a good number get their tour card, I'm really stoked about that.
That was very encouraging. Yeah, the entry numbers from Canadians is really, really exciting.
Yeah, I will say personally, knowing some of the names and the truth, being a fan of the Bearded Dart Guy and watching Jacob Taylor kind of, come to the scene through that and rise up, and just his ability to play darts has been fun. That was a big fun part of 2020, and to see that he got a tour card. As you guys, I'm excited to see what he's like in person. That's the interesting thing for me with this whole virtual and in-person situation that we're going to see start to clash later this year. I have always stated that I think there's a fracture within darts. That's a good thing. We're going to have guys that are just really good at playing at home. That's just a comfort level versus playing in person. And due to that, we're going to see almost two kind of types of darts. It's still going to be the same thing. You're going to have pawns. We'll say that, where there's the people that just do really well in person, or that transition from the online to in person. And I think we're going to have almost this online tour aspect or pond where people are going to feel more comfortable. Is there, some thought with Championships Dart Circuit or Champ Darts in regards to the potential of that over the next year or two becoming maybe a reality?
I mean, sure. I think that online virtual play is here to stay. There's no doubt about it. So, at some point, we're likely to remain involved in that side, although that's not our core business. Our core business is live in-person play. So I'll leave it at that. But certainly I agree that there's probably these two ponds, as you put it. You mentioned Jake Taylor. Well, I mean, I think just looking at the guy, he's got the skill to play anybody, anywhere, anytime. I mean, if he's half as good as he is, on a stream in an event, he can be a PDC Tour Card holder, next year very easily. I think he's got that level of talent.
Yeah, I just chuckled, Matt, that you've basically laid out another good rift in darts. So people are just going to be looking at somebody. He's an onliner.
He's the new soft tip, steel tip, right there.
He's an onliner. That in personer. Yeah, he's so snooty. He plays in person.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of my thought when you talk about soft tip, steel tip. That has been the Achilles heel for North American, or more importantly, American darts, is because you literally have this fracture within the darts community. You have people that are like, I'm soft tip, and you almost get this battle. I've literally had people, because I talk enough about steel tip and not as much about soft tip, I've had people rip me, DM me that, and like with bad language, that I'm not talking enough about soft tip. So that is actually a concern I have as a lover of the darts community. You go to Europe, and as you guys know, the idea there is not this virtual situation. It's an in-person. It's just more ingrained. It's been there. It's an established sport there. I mean, their players are rock stars there, where our players here, thankfully, the New York Times and some of the press picked up on Danny, and that'll hopefully drive that forward. But that is a concern for me. And it's nice to see the Championships Dart Circuit is understanding of it. They're like, hey, this is here. We're going to see how it plays out. But our focus is, what the rest of the darts world is really focusing on, and that's PDC. I do want to throw this out real quick.
Can I chime in here just to respond to what you just said? So first of all, the soft steel rift, that's 2013. If you're still looking at yourself as, I'm a soft player and steel sucks, or I'm a steel player and soft sucks, you're not doing anything to advance the game. I've never been a soft tip player. I respect people that are soft tip players. We need more people playing more darts more often. I don't care what form it is. And if you look at what's happening in Asia, okay, what's driving the growth of PDC Asia is the fact that soft tip has become so popular there. So at the end of the day, anybody who looks at one of these two styles of the game and says, nah, the other one's not worth it, you know what? You're doing nothing to help. And I'll say that to your face as much as I'm saying it here. The other thing I'll mention, and this goes back to the online versus in person, is that, our game is truly, in many cases, in many ways, a blue collar game. And so, when you talk about travel budgets, a lot of our players don't have the travel budget. And so you have to understand that there will be people looking for that competition outside of their local area. And the best way they're going to get it and not have to spend a ton of money is going to be, through online play. So we'd be foolish not to look at how we can remain in that area while still, making sure that our core mission of in-person play doesn't suffer.
So, I mean, and I understand that, and that's one of the things I love about Championship Dart Circuit is the goal is to grow North American darts as a whole and to bring this sport to the level that it should be. We're talking about skateboarding and so forth being a part of the Olympics. Well, darts by far is well more played, world renowned, and there's talk, I heard about it during the Super Series. There's talk about creating a particular tournament where we just have the top players from countries, but not, I know we have something like that where we've got that, but I mean, like really bringing it to a global standpoint. And I love that aspect. I look at this sport as, I guess, soccer in that aspect, but it really does bring everybody together to play a sport that's a lot of fun. I was curious in regards to, we talked a little bit about Danny Baggish and the opening up that. We talked about the North American darts as a whole opening up. With online play coming back, PDC, do you guys see the tournament over at Madison Garden actually coming to fruition? Are we going to see darts there? I know I'm throwing that as a loop one there, huh?
I'm letting Anthony grab that one.
Really? Oh, okay. I mean,
you're in New York, man. You should be talking about the New York stuff.
At MSG, the world's most famous arena, quite honestly, my gut tells me no. Just because of the multitude of components that it requires to put an event like that on. It's not a North American company putting on an event here in North America. It's a European-based company, bringing staff, fans, players to another continent, and then what are the restrictions in New York? What are the venue restrictions? And that I'm sure also applies to them looking at Australia and the other World Series events. So I would have to say it's going to be a pass for 2021, unfortunately.
Okay. With that kind of transitions into a question that I had for you guys. You guys have been running tournaments for some time now, from working with PDC and then, of course, creating and designing and putting out the Championship Dart Circuit tournaments. What are some of the hiccups, gaffes, issues that a lot of people don't grasp that go into putting on live events and what has been happening this past year in regards to, just the virtual type things? I know it gets talked about between us and, people that are kind of in the background, but what do people not know, that they're complaining about? Let's just go there.
Whew. Well, I mean, there's too many to list, but let's talk a little bit about, the online part first. And I think we'll go back to in person. When you're talking about online, one of the things that people don't understand is that, you can do all the camera checks you want before an event starts. You've got limited number of staff to run limited number of to run 8 boards with 80 plus people in them. Things happen between the pre-tournament camera check and the time that you're towing the hockey. The internet, the spouse is yelling at the kid. I mean, all that stuff that you have no control over, right? And then you've got that it sends the opponent or their opponent or whatever into a little bit of a tizzy, and then you get complaints. We try to manage that as best we can, but there simply isn't enough resources to be able to do a pre-match camera check on every single match and every single event, and then make sure that nothing else external happens. So that's one of the things you get online. That's one of the frustrations. And it's, candidly, it's the internet thing, something we've been dealing with for a while. I mean, if you've been following CDC, even when we were in person, we were streaming, there were times that the internet kind of ended up blowing us up, and thankfully I think we've gotten over that hump. In person, I'll let Anthony. I know Anthony's got a lot to say about this. I'll let him talk.
No,
but I'll come back in a little bit later. So.
No, I think we did learn a lot in the last month running the Q School virtual series. I think we learned a whole lot, and I think we've got some serious questions to ask of ourselves and We learned a lot of what it takes to meet a certain level of expectation. So I think as a company, will moving forward decide, what's the cost benefit ratio of meeting those expectations. So as far as online, on site, what people don't see, it's I don't even know where to go, because it's sort of what my nature is. It's what we've been doing for so long. But I do think that because even myself included, I don't think as a player I understood what it took to put on an event. And it doesn't matter what type of event, whether it's a CDC weekend or a large open event. I don't think the players really understand what goes into it. The physicality of it, the planning, the preparations, the business aspect of it, of what sort of arrangements that you need to make with a hotel, with now online streaming providers, logistics to get materials in and out. Getting staff. If you've got a large staff, you're moving staff in and out. So I just think. Just know that when you're home it's generally a Sunday, when you're home already, having dinner, watching 60 Minutes, there's generally a staff that's sweating it profusely, haven't eaten yet, and they still have 3.5 to 4 hours to go before they get the truck loaded.
Yeah,
I think that's it. And it is what it is. I'm not being whiny about it. It's just that's what it takes.
The stuff doesn't just magically get there. So and a couple of, I don't want to berate this because this is our job, right? So at the end of the day, the people at home watching 60 Minutes, they're players. Their job is to play and do their thing. Our job is to do what we've signed up to do. So I'm not, basically saying that this is, I'm not approaching this from a, let's not break our arms, patting ourselves on the back here. Okay. But, unless you've negotiated a contract, like, we're talking about April, trying to figure out how to put together a contract that's favorable to the company, figuring out what staff would go to the event in April, how to get them there, the cost of getting equipment, where it's coming from. All of that is something, unless you've done it, you just don't understand. Right. People, the thing that gets me as the CEO of the company is when people come up to you and say, well, you need more X or you need more Y, you should have more staff on site. Well, okay, I could have more staff on site. Tell me then, at what point, how much more are you willing to pay to get into an event so that I can get 3 more people here to help stream or help run boards or whatever else. It's not cheap to fly or drive or put them on a horse and buggy. I don't care. It's not cheap to get the amount of staff necessary to run a professional event to that event. It just isn't. And so, just before you get in somebody's face and say, well, you need to be doing this, just take a step back and say, think about what they did, what's gone into it to get where we are. Because I think we do a pretty darn good job on the resources we have. And they're certainly not unlimited. Better now than they were, but they're certainly not unlimited.
Yeah. And while we're on the soapbox and we're, throwing out dirty laundry and whining and complaining, just, always keep in mind that on any given week, we'll just use the two of us, Peter and I are having, one day we're having a meeting about the main tour proper. And then the next day we're having a meeting about the tour cards and how to turn those over. And then we're having a meeting about production. We're, trying to build a streaming team. And then we've got a meeting about the PDC and the Players Council. And then we've got a youth meeting, so there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. We hold ourselves to a high standard, so we understand the frustration if something falls through the cracks. Mm-hmm. Please know we're probably going to flog ourselves first before you even get to us. But and it's not that we don't want to have honest conversations with people. We want it to be done in the right perspective. I guess that's pretty much what I want to convey. Yep. Just like Pete said, just have a little bit of perspective on it, and then we generally will have a real productive conversation based on that.
Because we're not perfect. we know we're not perfect. We never will be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. We strive for it. And I think I hope that's something that was, maybe lacking in some aspects of this game before CDC started, but we always want to put on the best event we possibly can for our players and our fans and our sponsors. We've got a lot of different clients that we got to serve, and we do the best we can for everyone. And we fall short more than we would know, or more than even you would know. But we always want to get back on the horse and make it better for everybody. So if you have good suggestions, great. We do want to hear them. Anthony's right. Don't come up to us in the middle of an event after you just lost a match that you probably should have won, and unload on us. Like, that's not productive for anybody. Probably, at the end of the day, you should have won the match. It's not my fault you didn't win the match. And at the end of the day, I've probably had, a lot of different conversations that have gotten me into a point where I'm not going to have a productive conversation. So take a step back, take a breath, reconnect with us. We're not bad guys. We really aren't. And we'll listen to what you have to say.
Go ahead, Matt, and then I'll jump back in.
Okay. Well, one thing I wanted to just kind of point out in regards to this, what you guys are talking about, is two things. One, I've noticed on social media, if you guys go to the Championship Darts Circuit Facebook page, there's a lot of questions that have been thrown out, and they're answered relatively quickly, if not immediately, with great answers as to what the questions are. But the key thing, well, you guys, it's doing a great job with it. I mean, the key thing that I want to point out is you're not Barry Hearn. This is not a full-time, you just live Championship Darts Circuit. As much as you do live it, there are other aspects like jobs that actually go into play here as well. And I think people don't grasp the concept that Championship Darts Circuit is it's like a brand new business. Unfortunately, we are all working regular jobs to pay the bills, and this is a love and a passion and something that wants to be grown, and that's time being put into that. And so that it's kind of, I think a lot of people think, oh, well, this is what you guys do 24/7, but the truth of the matter is it's not. It's what everybody would love to do 24/7. It just hasn't gotten to that point.
For the first 3 years, I worked a full-time job, not only to pay the bills, but to pay dart players. So believe me. And again, I'm not complaining about that. We chose to do this. We started the business. But yeah, I mean, it isn't full-time. I wish at some point it would be full-time for all of us, because we could do so much more. But the other thing is, and this is stuff that Anthony and I spend a lot of time on the phone. For me, this is really a second and a half, because I work, a full-time job, a part-time job, and this is another full-time job. I got a family in there too. But, Anthony and I spend a lot of time on the phone talking about, we've got to be able to, to get more of our staff compensated for their time. Like, this is a business. We're trying to make it successful. Businesses have to turn a profit in the long term to be successful. If we're just going to break even for the next 10 years, that's not a business. It's a hobby. And that's okay. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure I want to be in a hobby, for the rest of my life. At some point, we got to make this work, not just for our staff and us. And we haven't taken a cent, but for the players as well. I mean, the players need to be playing for more money. They need to be able to. I mean, we wanted this to be a full-time job for players in North America. We haven't gotten there yet, and we recognize that. But I hope that when we make these decisions that you might not necessarily understand or maybe not agree with, we're making decisions with the best situation, the best facts we have in front of us to get to that goal. I could list for you the amount of failures that I've personally had with this. I can also list the successes, and so they're both worthy of discussion. But let's not focus always on what it could be. Let's focus on what it was 5 years ago, where we are now, and where we plan to be 5 years from now. That's all I would ask.
Bravo. Thank you both, because you conveyed what I started to spit out. It is a burgeoning business. It is only 5 years old. There is still growing pains. But what I wanted to say is we have high hopes for the game here, for the sport in North America. We have high hopes for everything across the board, from the players, the type of players that participate, the way they go about their business. And when they become a top player, it is a business now. They're a commodity. So we have high hopes in the way it looks and the way it comes across to the public, and the successes that can be had with the game here. We have very high hopes. And and we have intentionally, bitten off a small piece of the pie when it comes to darts. We have high hopes at the top level of the game. And as Pete said, it's a business, and if we can't accomplish all of those things, then we should go away at some point. We should just stop doing it. So if the community as a whole doesn't want to move in that direction, that's, I didn't mean to get that negative, and I don't mean it that way. We have goals, and we want everybody to be on board to accomplish those goals. And if we can't come to those goals and agreements, then we're wasting our time. Is the point?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but we have a ton of passion for it, and that's why we continue to do it, regardless of some factors that tell us that we shouldn't. We believe in it. And we have these goals and aspirations, and that's what we keep driving it to be.
And there are, I know you want to get in one more thing, and I know we're running short on time, but I just want to say this. The pie in darts in North America is growing, right? We're not competing for a smaller part of a smaller pie. We have our niche, and our niche has expanded a little bit. We brought in the youth, and but we're always doing things to create the opportunities for truly the players that will be professional. And we have to be professional to create those opportunities for the professional players, because they need to be professional. That's what needs to happen to get our sport to the level we want it to be at. And that's not to discount the weekend warriors and the people that play the regular circuit events, the people that play the blind draw. We need them to, even if you never leave your pub, if you like the game and you're passionate about the game and you want to watch the game on TV, you have a place in this sport. Okay. And we're trying to get a product to you to become an entertainment company, to give you what you want that you can't do in person, because maybe you're not at that talent level, but you can watch and you can support. We want that. We have since day one.
So listening to you guys and hearing the passion and where you guys are going, and I know we're limited on time. There were two other things I wanted to try and ask you, and so I'm going to have to bring you back on because we got to talk about youth, and there's other things. Well, the 100th episode, it's, I think this was episode 79, so we're a couple away. With that said, I'm going to wrap the two kind of questions I had into one, and part of that is, in regards to going to that level of PDC, getting the tour card. Currently, my understanding from a North American standpoint, outside of some potential tournaments that you might be able to go, play into, but realistically, the one way to get a tour card is to go through Championship Start Circuit. And the other portion of that question is, we've talked about the struggles or the things and, it being a new business, but how does the pub player, how does the guy, the weekend warrior, the guy that's in a league, how do they help progress or, help Championship Dart Circuit become a foothold and a strong place where darts can get to the PDC level?
I'm going to let my colleague and the best darts mind on the planet answer this question, or at least the best darts mind on the continent.
Oh, you're talking about him. Okay, sorry.
From a consumer standpoint or a player standpoint, Matt? Yes. Okay. Well, from a player standpoint, you want to get involved in your local long format singles league. If you're so lucky, if you've got a local dart players tour, if you're in the United States, look them up and get involved with them, and that support goes upwards, and you'll become a better player and prepare yourself to soon possibly come out and try and qualify for the Championship Darts Circuit. From a consumer, that's ever evolving. Right now, it's simply eyeballs. It's clicks and eyeballs. It's what sells right now in social media. So it's subscribing to all of our sites. It's sharing our streams. It's being active in that respect. Again, if we're going to talk honestly, these are the, you're setting us up to show a little warts, and that's okay from my perspective. Mm-hmm. We wish we had a little bit more merch for you to go on a website and buy.
We will.
We want, our website is still in development. We feel it's going to really come alive when we can use it in terms of we've got active, play going on. But of course, those are the things that, we want subscriptions and, be interactive with our merchandise. And if along the lines we have different events and things to sort of sign up for, those are the things we want you to do. Pete, and it just occurs to me as we're talking, we should have a newsletter. Maybe, we sign people up for a newsletter on the website. That's the way we can start to communicate with our fan base, if you will. But again, as we talk about constantly, these are things that, we talk about, and we've had recent meetings that frustrate us a little, just because it's, it's financial and it's staff based. We want to do more marketing and more development, but it's when you run out of time in the day. And again, it sounds like crying, but it is what it is. And those are the things that we know that we need to get better at and go on the horizon. So yeah, I don't know if I made any sense, but there you go.
One of the things we're trying to do behind the sings is I've been working pretty hard to get a number of different teams going inside the company and to really focus on what we're going to do. Not that we haven't been, but it's been, you've kind of been flying the plane while you're putting it together. Now we're at the point where, we're going to come up with a series of goals this company is going to get to in different areas, but we need the support from the staff. And that's what I talked about. And I'm going to use a phrase that my good friend and Dart Connect founder, David Maher, uses with me all the time. With enough time and enough money, anything is possible. And that is so true, right? So we do what we can, but the concept of the newsletter, the concept of and more fan interaction, the concept of the merchandise thing, that's something that I've had on my strategic goal list for a number of years. We got the website to where we are right now. The goal is to get a store on the website. By the way, these shirts, if you like them, I do have some in stock. So not every size, but send an email or a message to us if you're looking to buy a shirt. But these, they're made by Magicwear. These get
info at champdarts.com, info@champdarts.com.
Love it. But these will eventually make their way onto the website along with mugs and, towels and all that other stuff. We do realize there's a demand for that. And we're not stupid, but it's been tough to get it there, to figure out where you're going to bite, what you're going to bite off and chew, if that makes any sense.
So Matt, before you bring us home and transition to somewhere else, we want to, we talked about staff, and you touched on it right away when we opened up. And before we close, I want to tell everybody we've been excited that we have started to work with you, Matt. And, it was wonderful to have you involved in the recent Championship Darts, the Championship League All-Star Series. And look for more of that. And we've got, a whole bunch of great staff members that we've got a lot of exciting stuff planned, and you're one of them. So I just wanted to publicly say thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I do want to, as we land this plane, I'm going to put the call out there. There are some phenomenal social media types and newsletter types, and those that I know that work in the darts community or play in it and do stuff. Guys, if you want to get involved with Championship Dart Circuit and be a part of the action, the behind the scenes, and really know what's going on, I'm sure these guys wouldn't mind hearing from you. But be realistic. Say, understand that you need to put the time in. Don't just say, hey, I want to come do one newsletter and get my name out there. That's not what this is about. If you really want to help grow North American darts and truly put in the time and effort, you've heard what it takes. If you really want to do that and you want to bite off some of this and truly help, email these guys. Hit them up. Go to Championship Darts or Champ Darts on Facebook, and let them know that you're willing to do something to truly help. But remember, it's a commitment and it's a passion, and you really need to want to do this. There's help that could be used.
Yeah, I just as you mentioned, all of our social media properties are at Champ Darts. So you can find us at Champ Darts in all those places, and it's champdarts.com. So that sort of is our moniker on the website and social media. So that's how you can find us, and it's info at Champ Darts. And just like you laid out, to me, a receptive email would be not just a you should do this or whatnot. It's more about just quickly, let us know, what your strong suit is, convey the passion that you have, and then sort of lay out, what your skill set is. And yeah, we certainly would love to hear from people, and it will be a traditional, what am I looking for? Organized thing. You want to contact us? Our CEO will reach, may or may not reach back out to you. I mean, we'll certainly acknowledge it, but Peter may, request a follow-up and have a meeting with you. And, yeah, we would love to hear from people. But as you said, there is a commitment to it. And I'll insert a nice joke. There is a little slice of our staff members that mute the notifications on our staff message on Facebook, because we have people in every time zone in North America, and messages fly nearly 24/7.
There are 3 levels of communication that we receive, and I'll kind of go in level. The first level of communication is, here's what you guys aren't doing. The second level of communication is, here's what you guys should be doing. The third level of communication is, here's what I think you guys should be doing, and here's how I think you can get there, and here's how I can help. That's what we're looking for. Because believe me, if you're telling me what we should be doing, chances are we've probably thought of it. Not that we don't get some good ideas from those, but I'll put it on the list, right? What if you think that there's something there, let's figure it out together. Don't tell me what I should be doing. Tell me how we can do it together.
So don't just tell us the problem, present a solution to the problem. And the truth of the matter is, there are some areas that could use a little bit of help, like newsletter. So if that's your
100%.
passion, you love darts, and you can up some stuff, and it's not an everyday thing, reach out. And if you're from Canada, the North Canadians, I think we got one person on staff from Canada currently. Is that correct? That lives in Canada? Am I right on that one, or am I totally
one
off?
active staff member, correct?
One full-time, couple of part-time.
So we could use a little bit more the North Canadians in there. I'm wearing my Canada shirt, so I'm representing. Gotta show some love.
Beautiful shirt.
Got some of those in stock too.
Yes, very much so. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show, and I'm certainly going to have you back, because I know there's youth stuff we need to talk about. There's other aspects that Championship Dart Circuit is branching into, or working into, or have been doing, and it's growing. There's so much to what's going on here in the atmosphere of growing darts here in North America as a whole. And I don't think everybody knows that. There's things that are just on the horizon. They're on the brink, and it's just getting over some small hurdles. And of course, opening back up is going to be a big piece of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody face to face come July, and growing forward with that. I think it's going to be exciting. I just want to thank both of you guys for coming on, hanging out with me today. And of course, episode 100. What I think I'm going to do is just try and get everybody back on, but we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Matt. I sincerely appreciate the time and having us on, and I echo what Anthony said. It's really good to have you on board.
It's my pleasure. I'm enjoying it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's been a pleasure.
All right, thanks, guys.
Cheers.
And now I'm unmuted. Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for watching that interview. It was a blast talking with the guys. Sorry, getting feedback. One of the things that we didn't really get into that was the youth, what's going on there. That conversation actually was much longer than that. We spent quite a bit of time talking about things that are up and coming for this year, where I'm going to fit in to the program in regards to doing interviews. Look for some cool stuff to happen with Championship Dart Circuit, Champ Darts. I have an issue with saying CDC, I admit it. I don't know, since the pandemic. But there's some cool things that are coming our way as darts players in regards to interviewing people. I can tell you guys, we didn't get so much into the Danny Baggish thing. There's an interview being done today that'll go live in the next couple of days. That's going to be awesome. And so we didn't want to dive too much into that, because we want something for you guys to see. So just really thank you for catching this episode and hopefully understanding a little bit more about what goes into this. The growth pattern that you're about to see with Champ Darts is going to be massive. There's been talk of more public situations where the stuff's going to be available and viewable, especially as pandemic issues kind of subside and we're able to do more in-person stuff. There are definitely things on the horizon. And for those that, went and played this year, I know there are some fans of the show here. Jason, Bearded Dart Guy, Will, from what was Quarantine Darts and now USA Darts Productions. They played to get their tour card. Unfortunately, they missed out. But look for Champ Darts to become really that kind of stepping stone to getting to the PDC. I don't want to say they're going to be BDO level, but maybe better. So I just know that there's things on the horizon. Keep an eye out on that. Thank you guys for watching this episode 79 of Coffee and Darts. And I want to thank my sponsors, of course, Shot Darts, beautiful barrels that we get to play. I say they're works of art that we get to throw. Magicwear, who makes all the Champ Darts jerseys, and of course they make jerseys for Coffee and Darts and Atomic Darts. And want to also thank Condor Flights and Shafts. And can't not thank Atomic Darts and Atomic Darts Coffee, or Coffee and Darts Coffee, because that's me. But hey, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging in and watching this. Look for some more interesting interviews coming up. I've wrangled a couple of people in, so we'll see how these go. And I think this is going to be a format that we can play with. It seemed to work today, other than some small technical glitches that are my fault, but should go well. Are you guys getting an echo? Hold on one sec. Is that echo gone? Echo's gone. Sorry about that. See, technical difficulties. It's all on me. But hey, guys, thanks a lot. And my Boom Darts cabinet, if you look behind me, this is a different look than typical. We've moved the studio around. The Boom Darts cabinet is going right there. It ships today, and I should have it. We've had some things go back and forth in regards to the Boom Darts cabinet. I'm super excited to show that to you guys. It holds 3 dartboards. It rotates. It's got a monitor. It's got all kinds of cool stuff, cameras and things in it, lights. We just had some hiccups in regards to either I wasn't available for them to deliver. The guys wanted to drive it out themselves. They're on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. We had some weather. I don't know, some snow stuff. Other things that have come into play. So the Boom Darts cabinet, we decided we would just ship it on a typical shipping, container type thing. It's coming. It leaves today. It's on its way here. I should have it later this week or early next week, and we'll get that thing set up, and I'm going to show that to you guys. And so I wanted to rotate things around so that we could see it in the back, but I just want to show that off to you guys. I think this is going to be awesome. It also leads into me playing you guys a little bit easier, because some of the components that I would need to do that and make it better are with that cabinet. So it's been a while coming, because we started the process on getting this cabinet made and for here back in late October, November of last year. So excited about that. Going to be really cool to have that. And Dylan is craving playing some darts for you guys. So as the season kicked back in, he's like, oh, I want to play more darts. So that always helps too, being able to watch darts and play darts. So guys, thanks again. I will see you guys next week. Got some cool reviews coming up as well. Don't forget to check out Atomic Darts, where you can get some really good coffee for your coffee and darts. Nothing to spike your coffee, but at least there's coffee there. And of course, we have the B52s, and the B52 soft tip was supposed to be up this weekend. I did all the stuff and forgot to launch it, but then I took new pictures. So look for those to come live in the next day or two for the B52 soft tip. They are 20 gram. And they play really, really nice. So I have a couple sets going out to reviewers, so you guys can get an idea of what those look like from other people other than myself. Thanks again for watching. I will see you guys later.